Hey everybody, Kevin here with Ride Utah TV. I wanted to do a quick follow-up to last week's video about a rogue wildlife officer who was charging private citizens for transporting obviously dead quagga mussels. Still a huge problem in southern Utah. And you want to know what? They still haven't responded to our GRAMA request. I got some information. Stay tuned. All right, so you heard me right. A week ago, we put in a GRAMA request, which is a Public Information Act request, to the DNR for all of the charging documents because I wanted to see what kind of justification this guy used to convince a prosecutor to file charges against a citizen who was out doing a good deed, recording it, who obviously had no intention of breaking the law. I think this is a huge issue when you talk about the relationship between state law enforcement and private citizens. They haven't said a word to us yet. However, last week, I think I mentioned it in the last video, the legislature called the head of the DNR and the head of the DWR in, and they testified in front of the Natural Resources Committee that, get this, they said, yeah, we talked to them. They just didn't know they were breaking the law. That, to me, was a huge problem. I was really surprised to hear him say, in fact, I was texting members of the legislature as they were sitting in that meeting asking questions. And I was saying, this guy's gaslighting you. He knows that this is ridiculous. Why can't they just admit it? Why can't you just admit it? Anyways, so we've put in a public information, or GRAMA request in Utah is what it's called, which is a documents request for public information, all of the publicly accessible information that this officer used to create a charging document. I guess we're going to have to wait and see what he used, because it's half the country saw that these folks, the good folks at Fabrats, the good people who they are, were actually out doing something really cool. And what a great video that was, where they gave that boat back to the original owner. And how terrible did it make Utah look by filing those charges against them for doing something obvious? As I talked to the governor's office, the governor's is a rural guy. He's from down here. In fact, the governor's last name is Cox. And his family's from here. And in this next election, he really wants to win rural Utah. And the sentiment that we've got from the governor's office is, hey, we shouldn't be out charging citizens with crimes when they're doing obviously good things. So keep up the work. Keep up the good work. Keep emailing, keep making phone calls, keep doing what you got to do. Because, look, I've got some history here. I'm going to tell you, last November, we were out on a ride, a permitted ride on BLM. Actually, it was on a county road. And we were getting ready to go. I was with probably the most responsible OHV people in the entire state. Now, a lot of you don't know me. In Utah, I hosted an outdoor television show. And part of that was, one of the great benefits of that is I got to see Utah. I got to interact with local citizens, get to know who the real players are in the industry. And that's what led us to form Ride Utah TV, because we wanted to take that little bit of influence we had in just Utah and take it nationally. And I appreciate you watching our video today, because there's going to be a lot more of this coming up. But we were on this ride, and as we were, guys, picture a parking lot, a dirt parking lot, literally in one of the most remote areas in the entire 48 states. There's not a law enforcement officer within 200 miles, and there's probably about 75 machines, and we're permitted ride with the BLM and with the county and everything. were 100% legal, and all of a sudden, we get swarmed on by state law enforcement. Well, they were extremely out of line. And the people I was with, legislators, lobbyists, the sheriff, it was obvious that these guys were out of line. And I was with the right people who were able to kick them out of the county. In fact, at the time, the sheriff at the time made a phone call to state law enforcement and said, you got X number of minutes to get out of my county because you guys are completely out of line. That show of force, that dominance, that they brought people in from 300 or 400 miles away to check registrations. Really? It made the state look bad. And we told the state, if this is going to become a pattern, then we're going to start highlighting it. And so when Paul Cox at Fabrats posted that video, well, you know what? That's showing the pattern, right? This isn't something that is unique. It's not something that's new. It wasn't a situation that was just kind of out of the blue. Maybe an officer made a mistake because, look, officers are humans. We love police officers. We'll stand behind them any day of the week. We will take a bullet for you guys because we love the work that you do. But with state law enforcement, there seems to be a little bit of heavy-handedness. And why are we so out of touch with citizens? Now, I get it. I found out that technically, when you read the law, it's so vague that, yeah, it's easy to say they did break the law. They transported some dead quagga mussels and they broke the law. Now, if you were to take the provisions of the law that they say the Cox is violated and apply that across the board to every citizen, then that makes this new catch station that they're putting up in Kanab even more problematic. And if I was DNR, or if I'm a governor, or if I'm a legislature watching this video right now, I think I'd be putting the brakes on that like ASAP, because you've got a real problem with public perception that you really need to fix before you start cracking that heavy whip again. This catch station is going to be set up in Kanab, which is an hour away from Page, Arizona, or Walwick Marina. And they're going to be stationed there in Kanab, pulling over boats that are obviously coming from Lake Powell. There's not another lake they can come from. And they're going to be doing inspections. And if they catch you, then what are they going to do? We're going to start creating a bunch of vigilante citizens because they drove an hour through a 120-degree desert with quagga mussels? To me, that's a bad idea. It's just a bad idea. Anyways, quick video today. Stay tuned. I've got a video coming up about House Bill 180. Before you ride on public lands in Utah, before you take an OHV out, the state of Utah requires that you take a training course. I'm going to do a deep dive into that in the next day or two, so keep an eye out for it. Listen, we appreciate you watching Ride Utah TV. Like, share, subscribe. There's going to be all kinds of great content on this channel. We're going to be talking news. We're going to be doing product reviews. We're going to go out on rides. You saw our ride that we posted this morning about the veterans and raising money to help veterans. We're going to do law enforcement rides, and we help people out. Ride Utah is a great organization. We want you to be a part of it. Check us out on Facebook at Ride Utah. And of course, subscribe to our channel and share our videos and comment on them. And if you disagree with anything I'm saying, make sure you let me know at rideutah.tv@gmail.com. Again, I'm Kevin Mortensen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.